is a global news update on top accolade news. The headlines: Trump accuses Obama of treason. Kyiv erupts in protest as Zelensky faces backlash over anti-corruption reforms. Japan and US seal massive trade deal. US to withdraw from UNESCO again. We'll start today with a focus in politics. Trump accuses Obama of treason. US President Donald Trump has accused Barack Obama of treason, claiming without evidence that the former president led efforts to forcibly link him to Russia during the 2016 election. The explosive remarks came after Trump cited comments from his intelligence chief Tulsi Gabbard, who claimed top Obama officials conspired against Trump, a charge widely rejected by Democrats and contradicted by bipartisan intelligence reports. An Obama spokesperson called the allegations ridiculous, while critics says Trump is using these claims to distract from renewed scrutiny over his ties with Jeffrey Epstein and mounting political pressure. Still in politics, Kyiv erupts in protest as Zelensky faces backlash over anti-corruption reforms. Massive protests broke out in Kyiv today as hundreds took to the streets in outrage over President Zelensky's move to tighten government control over Ukraine's key anti-corruption bodies. Protesters, including Kyiv's mayor Vitaly Klitschko, accused the government of weakening democratic oversight, chanting slogans like "Ukraine is not Russia." Critics warned that the decision could derail Ukraine's EU ambitions, with Brussels urging a reversal. Now shifting the focus to economy, Japan and US seal massive trade deal. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has praised US President Donald Trump's tremendous leadership following the announcement of a major US-Japan trade agreement. The deal, which includes reciprocal 15% tariff and a $550 billion Japanese investment into the US, is expected to create hundreds of thousands of jobs and boost trade in sectors like automobiles, agriculture, and technology. Ishiba described the agreement as the beginning of a new golden era between the two allies, while Donald Trump declared that the US will receive 90% of the profit from the investment, touting the deal as a win for American workers. Let's move to international relations. US to withdraw from UNESCO again. The United States has announced it will withdraw from UNESCO once again, marking the third such exit in history. The State Department under President Donald Trump cited the agency's anti-Israel rhetoric and the support for divisive globalist agenda as key reasons, mirroring Trump's first withdrawal in 2017, a move that was later reversed by President Joe Biden. UNESCO Director General expressed regret over the decision, but said it was anticipated and the organization has taken steps to strengthen its financial independence. The exit will take effect in December 2026. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Still in international relations, India to resume tourist visas for Chinese citizens. India will resume issuing tourist visas to Chinese citizens starting July 24th, marking the first time in 5 years that such access is granted. The move follows a period of frozen relations triggered by the deadly 2020 border clash in the Himalayas, which saw both countries impose retaliatory restrictions. While China reopened to Indian students and business travelers in 2022, tourism remained off the limits until now. Officials in Beijing welcomed the decision, signaling readiness to further dialogue. The reopening follows recent high-level meetings and restored direct flights between the two nations. Now turning to conflict. Ukraine and Russia return to Istanbul for high-stakes peace talks. Ukrainian and Russian delegations are set to meet in Istanbul on Wednesday, July 23rd for a third round of peace talks brokered by Turkey as the war enters its fourth year. Despite limited progress in earlier rounds, including prisoner swaps, sharp disagreements remain, especially over territorial concessions and Ukraine's sovereignty. President Zelensky has tasked the National Security Secretary to lead Ukraine's delegation, aiming to secure humanitarian breakthroughs, including the return of POWs and abducted children. Moscow, meanwhile, insists on Ukrainian withdrawal from occupied regions and neutrality. With both sides deeply divided, hopes for a broader ceasefire remain slim. Moving to entertainment, fans honor Ozzy Osbourne's legacy with tributes in Birmingham. Fans across the UK are paying heartfelt tribute to rock legend Ozzy Osbourne, honoring his immense cultural legacy following news of his decline in health. Flowers have been placed on the Black Sabbath Bridge at Birmingham's Broad Street, where Osbourne's journey began. The iconic frontman, diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2019, recently performed what is believed to be Black Sabbath's final show in his hometown. Bandmates and admirers alike have praised the singer's monumental influence on music and popular culture. Now in sports, U.S. Olympic Committee adopts Trump's ban on trans women in sports. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee has updated its athlete safety policy to comply with the controversial executive order signed by President Donald Trump earlier this year, which bans transgender women from competing in women's sports. In a memo to Team USA, USOPC leaders said the change was necessary under their federal obligation, referencing Executive Order 14201. The order, which critics argue infringes on transgender rights, also directs federal agencies to deny visas for transgender athletes competing in the U.S. and calls for the State Department to pressure the IOC to amend its inclusive policy. The policy shift is expected to affect only a small number of athletes. That concludes our global news updates for today. Stay tuned for more global news and developments. Thanks for joining us. I am Ojoromi Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.